loud. Okay. So this morning, good morning. And we are still working on mindset. We're still working on the nervous system. And in our green books, we're going to go towards the herb hops, which is on page 50. So if you have your green books, and I'm going to read from Feelings Buried Alive, and I'm going to go back to the nervous system. But today, I'm going to actually go to one of the books that I've written and go back to some ground floor work that we did a long time ago and go back to the nervous system. So let me tie this in. So we have mindset, we have the nervous system, and then we have the herb hops. We also have the herb that we covered last week. If y'all just give 1 second, the herb we covered last week was passion flower. And we also have ashwagandha. That is, all, I'm going to call it relaxation, herbs. In the green book, we don't have ashwagandha in particular, but we do have hops. And I know Becky's on here. And so what products do we have hops in? Any help from the audience? No.
Vital and adaptable?
Vital has hops? No. Vital does not have hops. And it's interesting. Renew does not have hops. Hold on. See, I was going towards the calming herbs, but actually, I'm going to make you guys laugh. I want to say, no, it's not in that one.
Is it in the good vibrations?
That's exactly where I'm at right now. And I have to pull it up because of the fact that, let's see. I know Becky has the list of where the hops would be in. Now, interesting. I'm in. So let me go to good vibrations. Sorry, guys. Good vibrations. You see, and which is in our clarify category. So let me go there. I should have done this before we actually met, and I didn't. I apologize. Let's see. Nope. Hops is not in there. And you see, I thought it was in So Complete. That's where I was going with it. And it's actually not in So Complete either. Let me think about this. It's not in So Clear. It's not in ProBio. It's not in Excel. Let me go to Balance. It's in Avant Greens probably. I am trying to look to see where it's at, and I'm not finding it anywhere, but I definitely want to say that we have a product that hops is in, because I know it's not a longevity. It's not So Flex PI. I don't see it in the list of Avant Greens.
So, just checked Maca too.
Yeah, it's not going to be in Maca. I can name those. And you see, I thought it was in our So Complete. However, it's not coming up in So Complete either. And which is interesting because That's where I thought it actually was. And well, when we come up with the answer, we'll, I know it's not in Nero, it's not in Cinemate, it's not in Maca, it's not in Pawachi, I just looked. So Complete, for some reason, I specifically thought that it was in there. And I'm not seeing it. So we are still going to cover hops, and we're going to have the mystery of which product is it in. How you like that one? That's what we'll go ahead and do. So one of the big parts with the nervous system, I want to go back. Okay, so we're going to start with mindset, and I want to go back to the theory of the first law of attraction goes back to control the nervous system. Okay, so in the nervous system, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to keep elaborating on it. And it's in EnFatuate. Look, Sarah, it's in Solflex PI, Nero. Oh, it's in EnFatuate. It's in beer. Yes, it is absolutely in beer. And I'm going to cover that one. So EnFatuate. And that's what I was thinking. However, when I pulled it up, thank you so much, Sarah, for doing that. And when I turned around and was looking for, there it is. Yeah. Okay. It's in EnFatuate. And the way it's covered, hold on, let me close the door. Okay. Thank you all for your patience while we had a little slow start there with hops. It helps to manage anxiety, inability to sleep with insomnia, other sleep disorders, restlessness, tension, excitability, attention, deficit, hyperactive disorders, nervousness, and irritability is how it's written on EnFatuate, which is beautiful. So what I want to do first is I want to share my screen on my book, Food is Figureoutable.
Back with you in Paran Drive, or you want Paran to sit with you?
Let's mute. Okay. So the nervous system, what is the nervous system? The nervous system is primary a trigger or monitor for all communication processes in the body. So when it says it's a communication process, every single nerve, even in our hands. So if we think of reflexology, or actually we have reflex points in our hands. And so the nerve endings in our hands or in our feet, so these are called all extremities, connect to every single part of the body. It consists of two main parts: the central nervous system, so that's the brain, the master controller, and the spinal cord. And so think about people having to get a spinal tap, because all the nutrients that are in that spinal cord is going to be everything that is entailed in our structural system and in our bloodstream. So, and that's the driving force. And the peripheral nervous system, which consists of the nerves that carry messages to and from the brain and the spinal cord. Nerves found throughout our entire body. The brain is the center of the human nervous system. Enclosed in the cranium, the brain contains 10 billion nerve cells. The brain also manages our emotions, our memories, our thoughts, our reasoning, our imagination, creativity, knowledge, and everything that makes us who we are. So the number one part in manifestation is that we start becoming the place that learns who we are. When we aren't true to who we are, our nervous system is out of whack. So we need to be curious. We need to be creative. We are creative beings. So the biggest part of managing our emotions and our thoughts goes back to how we thought about the right and the left brain and the way in which that we think and we feel. That is extremely important. The frontal lobes are associated with executing functions such as self-control, planning, resignating, abstract thoughts. So this is one of the main reasons in which that we have to first and foremost manage our nervous system. In the part of the law of attraction, and number one is they say that the nervous system is your magical superpower. That's exactly how it is said, because this is what allows us to think, feel, and do and be. So look at how I went, and the brain manages our emotions, memories, thoughts, reasoning, imaginations, creativity, knowledge, and everything that makes us who we are. So when we are, I'm going to call it blind, walking life blinded. When we're blinded, it's almost like we're in a ring. Think about the cage fighters. When they go in there, do they have a mindset of peace or do they have a mindset of fight? They are going to be in that ring out to win, out to, so think about this. They will not quit until they win. The biggest part of that becomes that it's a fight and flight. It is the nervous system absolutely at its peak level. So common concerns of the nervous system is PTSD, OCD, panic attacks, rapid heartbeat palpitations, excessive fatigue and depression, excessive anger and aggravation. The biggest part to this is how do we get us to stop reacting to the world? How do we stop reacting in anger? If we approach any situation or any conversation in anger, you're going to get anger back in return. The nervous system attracts what the nervous system is looking for. So we have several parts to the nervous system: the hypothalamus, the nerves, the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic, I want you to remember as rest and digest. And we have the part where we have the senses, the ears. Overstimulation can occur due to ringing in the ears or ear infections. We have the smell. Strong chemicals include perfumes, cleaning products, as well as congestion. And then we have the eyes, eye infections, macular degeneration, retinopathy can be stimulators. Bright lights, blue lights from computers, phones, and television can all contribute to overstimulation. So the big part, think about the ears, the nose, and the eyes. These are going to be major overstimulators. Think about when you're meeting with people, how they will talk about, they can't handle perfume smells. They can't no longer handle a synthetic based smells, which give them that is the nervous system that is overstimulated. So the neurotransmitters for the nervous system is acetylcholine, epinephrine, and then GABA and serotonin. So we will either be overstimulated or we will be understimulated. The major part is to continue to work on helping the nervous system to stay calm or to be able to transition. It is okay if you're at a car accident and you go into stopping someone from bleeding and you do a lot of acts, but it's about when the body can actually settle back down. That is the important part. We have to be able to settle back down. So we can go into producing cortisol, but we have to come out of it. Rest at night, deep breathing. There's a lot of different techniques that can be used for the nervous system, but I want to keep going back and showing you guys that the number one is the nervous system. And you know, when we go into a lot of books that are all doing, like for instance, we're on the weight loss book, or guess what? They're going to go back to mindset. If we go back to a book that we get from Soul when we become specialists, the first chapter is what's my why? Okay, this is the big part. People sit there and actually don't know what's their why. The reason is because you haven't worked on the self-discovery. You're more of the people pleaser, which will keep your nervous system in overdrive. The people pleaser is constantly, okay, so everything is about the outward looking in. So recently I had a client, and this is a very, very, touchy subject for a lot of people. So I do not share this type of things on social media, because when a person hears this, if they had some recollection that they told me that, their nervous system will be put back in overdrive. So when we are outward looking, that health only looks as a size. If I'm skinny, then I'm healthy, is a nervous system point of view. It is a nervous system in overdrive, because I know a lot of people who are healthy and they may not be the ideal size 2. But you see, everybody, if I were to go down the screen and I would ask, what does health look like to you? You see, everybody would have a different perspective. And that's okay. That's the part that I want to get back to. But the part is that remember we went into the theory of we're able to loop it around, and looping it around is going back from the thinking and feeling. I think that skinny is healthy. However, help me change my mind. I think that skinny is healthy. However, help me change my mind. Because to me, health goes back to, am I thinking? Am I thriving? Am I accepting myself for who I am? Is my heart open? And am I connecting? You see, health looks a little bit different to me than it may be to someone else, because body image is not a trigger for me. Body image is not a trigger for me. My part is health might look like, if I could just go hiking in higher altitudes and accomplish it and come back, that looks like health to me. Now, when I do my blood work, I also have, numbers on a blood work that some may figure that, this looks healthy. And that is another indicator that my body is thriving. And that's the part that I want to go back to. So the part is how can we come back to centering the nervous system as being your first and foremost? I'm going to remind you, it's learning your why. It's learning your passions. It's learning your desires and the feelings you want. Gratitude, joy, and growth are my 3 self-words that keep driving me. The reason I put 3 words is when I'm off center, in order to come back to center, I have to know what my balancing words look like to me. I want to read from Feelings Buried Alive. Nerves, influenced by thoughts and feelings, how the body communicates within. Then we have the parasympathetic, holding on to things or people of the past that need releasing, need to be congruent in your communication with self. Congruent is a word that I dated, and it is a very good word for you to start learning about the positive aspects or what a healthy aspect of congruent looks like. Nervous breakdown, inability to communicate true feelings, fear of the future, not recognizing or accepting our own power. Nervousness, inability to communicate feelings adequately, fear of the future, feelings of anxiety, and confused thinking. So notice that nerves go always back, if I cross-reference to several different materials, to thinking and feeling. How are you thinking and how are you feeling? And are you coming back to the consciousness of present moment? That's a big part. The part of being the part of being able to get the body back, from the nervous system at night, because sleeping recharges the nervous system. It recharges the brain. I'm going to, bring those points up again. So about 30 minutes before you're going to go to bed, being able to either take anything, one of our soul products that have ashwagandha, which will be the vital and the adaptables. If a person is on a nerve pill, an SSRI, we would highly maybe suggest some EnFatuate in a warm mug or with the Renew in order to calm the body down. Another part is to take your Vertizymes about 30 minutes before bed on an empty stomach, which has the passion flower. These are just little tips. And the biggest part is taking your calm and putting it on the big toe. Why do we put it on the big toe? Is because that is a heart reflex point that helps to bring in the meridian point of helping the heart rate calm down at night. In order to help the heart rate come down, when the low rate comes down, the better the body will rest. And we want to have the first 6 hours of sleep to be the part that we actually bring the heart rate down. So one of the big parts that I like to look at is our nails. So horizontal ridges. So if we looked at our nails and we saw ridges going down the nails, that's going to be a sign of the nervous system. So think of a person, if they show up in your office, are you meeting with them and they are biting their nails, pulling their hand nails, dry skin around the nails, or picking at the nails, are all indicators that the nervous system is in need of being addressed. On the face is tight. They're biting their lips, the inside of the skin in the cheeks. If a person tells you they have issues inside the mouth, in the cheeks, or biting their lips, that actually goes back to the nervous system. Fidgeting, swinging the legs, tapping the pencil, playing with the hair, or actually any type of movement that would be annoying. Okay, that is going to go back to a person's nervous system. And that's where we're going to look at that EnFatuate to bring that in, because the good fats are what help, what word do I want to use? Soothe the nervous system. That's the word I want to use. So we also have our tongue. The tip of the tongue is the indicator that goes back to the nervous system and the heart. When that is red, it's usually an indicator that things aren't settling in. The crooked of a face, one side of the face has a little bit of they're not in symmetrical pattern, both sides of the face. The right side would indicate going back to potassium, where the left side would be sodium, and that's the nutrients of the body. But a lot of times that's the sign of strokes, nerve damage, or different nervous system disorders. So the quivering of anything, so people may say, hey, I have quivering in my eyes, I have a quivering nerve twitch going on, or something happening with the quiver goes back to heart and nervous system. So what can we do to help support? And a lot of times with the heart, I want to bring up an indicator that we oftentimes don't think about. So in our past, we may have had something that our heart has a past cellular memory that it won't let go of. However, today we're ready to let go of it. So it's not that you're going to let go of the actual action. What you're going to do is associate the feeling or the thinking that brings you to the present moment, the consciousness that you're no longer willing to tolerate. I have a star in my eye and it won't go away. Had it for like a month and a half. If it were me, I would get some silver gel. I would close my eyes. I would put some silver gel on my finger and I would rub the outside of my eye because that is having to do with bacteria. And then I would go towards the avant greens because I like blood building. Anytime we have a sty that is growing on an eye portion or area like that, that's an extremity. And that's going to go back to building iron. Normally, also B vitamins are imperative, and that goes back to our probio, but our, propinium fluoride ratio is in a lot of our products. You might want to consider taking 2-3 times a day on the probio for a couple of days to just build the integrity of the gut of the body to be able to bring B vitamins to the brain center, which would be part of our 5 senses. Also, I would go back and what can I do for my nervous system? How can I turn around and really settle in? Because that's going to also help the body. The body's probably been pushed into cortisol and producing more cortisol than anything else. I want to bring up something, and y'all just give me a second. I just need to bring it up. Okay, so I want to teach you the philosophy of conditional love versus unconditional love. A lot of times when we have a nervous system disorder, it's going to be that we're stuck in unconditional love. In conditional love, I will love you if you do things my way. I will love myself if I look a certain way, if I do certain things, or it's done my way. Unconditional love is when we can actually step into the here and the now, that we look at the world and that we say, I am happy no matter what circumstances. Outer circumstances no longer drive who I am. It is perfectly okay for you to comment on my social media posts in whatever way you want, and it will no longer trigger me. I'm just using an example. So these are all items that help the body thrive in the ways in which that our nervous system can be brought back to center. So in our hops book, or our green greens book, if you want to go and you want to write your cheat words next to hops, I want you to put relax. And the biggest part is hops also goes back to silica and then magnesium. I like to remember it for magnesium. One of the biggest ways in which that in my younger years of herbalism that we would use hops for was for children with a lot of acne. Do you know that that actually helps the body with acne? And because the nervous system is what is making the little pus pockets of what, you know, ends up be calling the acne, or what, because hops is a bitter herb, so it helps stimulate digestion. Bitter herbs in many cultures are used to help you digest. So think of a bitter, an after dinner bitter drink to help you digest your supper. That is something that's known in, you know, where people have fine wines, they'll make sure they make something from a bitter. So to give you an example, hops in beer is bitter. Without all the flavorings, we would actually not drink beer because it has a very bitter flavor to it. That's one of the things that I put next to hops, and then we'll actually write EnFatuate. And think about the theory that we used to have warm milk before bed. How about a warm EnFatuate before bed in order to help the body just settle in, calm down? I would probably do it at least an hour or 30 minutes. And one of the major benefits of hops is to help stress, anxiety, insomnia, menstrual cramps, eczema, and metabolic syndrome. The biggest part about hops is, you know, I've already covered the part about beer without hops might last a couple of weeks, but beer with added hops can last for a year. So it actually comes in as a way in which that it helps improve the shelf life and it improves the taste of beer. Isn't that interesting? Beer makers found that hops were unmatched as a preservative with a great flavor, and thus hops became associated with beer. So the next part of the property of hops is both relaxing and soothing for the digestive system. Hops has an anti-inflammatory as well as anti-spasmodic. So in other words, that's where those menstrual cramps will come in, or any type of spasms that we might be having in the body. So, you know, if we have a tickling in our eye, we may want to go towards EnFatuate if we don't drink beer. Hops helps calm an upset gut, and that goes back to the bitter compounds in the hops. And it also stimulates the bile, and the bile is housed by the gallbladder, and stomach acid that aids in digestion. A lot of people who drink beer are actually not realizing they're craving it for other reasons, is one of the ways in which that I like to look at it. So the the risk factor that increases a person's chance for heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes is going back to the metabolic syndrome. And it can also help alleviate that. So that meaning that it would help with the accumulation of belly fat, and also help to digest bitters, help to digest, cholesterols with the lipids. So that's one of the things known for hops. And then it, you know, we keep going back to the PMS and helping with insomnia. And then hops is known as an antioxidant in combination with its antimicrobial properties has been shown to suppress a number of infections, bacterial and some viral. Isn't that important for today? Hops has been effective against antibiotic resistance bacteria as well, including MRSA. And a lot of times, you know, the staph is going to come from that MRSA, And that's what's happening with those eyes. And that will also help. And so I wrote this as a closing. Take time for yourself. And if we don't, we will not have the nerve to help others without giving of what we don't have. So we want to give from our cup that's full. We don't want to give from an empty cup. And when our nervous system can be better at bay or in a good place, then therefore, no matter what's coming at us, we are able to reset better. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this little tidbit on hops today. And remember to pick you up a green books in the back office with Soul Naturals.